This engagement is expected to yield very tangible, immediate, and future dividends.
President Tinubu explores ways to boost the economy to embark on a state visit to the People's Republic of China next month.
We are not only expanding the labor market, but also supporting the skills required.
Expand capacity to create more jobs and improve economies, Vice President tells states as he inaugurates world-class fashion and ICT hub in Benue State.
No guilty party should be allowed to go free and start roaming the streets looking for the next victim.
Also tonight, the first ever Gender and Social Norm Summit 2024 holds. Nigeria's first lady converses stiffer laws and punishment to perpetrators of sexual abuse and other forms of gender-based violence in the country. Good evening and welcome to the Network News on NTA. I am Olajide Bello. Reading with me tonight from Lagos is Adeola Komiakere. Our businessman, Benny Adams, will be engaging us with business reports. And of course, sports will not be left out as Ayo Deji Makinde also brings us latest in the world of sport. Do not forget to follow this newscast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and NTA News Now on X, as well as other social media handles displayed on the screen. President Bola Tinubu is to embark on a state visit to the People's Republic of China in the first week of September. Presidential advisor on media and publicity, Nigerian announced this at a press briefing at the State House. The presidential spokesman says President Tinubu, at a meeting with his Chinese counterpart, Xi Jinping, is expected to sign a memorandum of understanding on various aspects of the economy. These include green economy, media enterprise development and promotion, and blue economic development. Nigerian says the president is also scheduled to engage in meetings and activities that will have immediate and future benefits on the nation's economy and its people, particularly on information technology, financial services, oil and gas, aluminium production, satellite technology development, as well as constructions. The President will also attend the 2024 Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, also scheduled for the 4th to 6th of September.
As well as the China Rail and Construction Corporation, CRCC. This is with a view to achieve one of Mr. President's top agenda items, which is the completion of the Ibadan to Abuja segment of the Lagos to Kano high-speed rail line.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has called on the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, to further strengthen mechanisms to addressing the challenges of rapid spread of misinformation, disinformation and fake news that hinders progress and erodes trust between government and the people. This was when the minister paid a welcome visit to the British Broadcasting Corporation headquarters in London. The minister's visit is part of a bridge building and cooperation efforts between the ministry, foreign and local media houses. The minister met the BBC's top management headed by Mr. Jonathan Monroe, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the BBC News and Director of the BBC World Service, where he conversed the need to foster understanding as a key element in driving development. He also underscored the importance of the cooperation to balance its reportage in Nigeria by highlighting the progress and successes of the country. The minister praised the BBC's expansion of operational reach in Nigeria by creating more language options in Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba and Pidgin, which helps in the cascading of information, employment and training of more Nigerians. The Chief of Staff to the President Femi Gbajabiamila says the federal government is fully committed to providing the necessary resources needed to ensure effective administration of the nation's extractive industry for more impact on the nation's economy. This was at the Chief of Staff paid a working visit to the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, NTA, in Abuja. Benny Adams reports.
The visit is seen as a significant step in the federal government's ongoing efforts to bolster transparency and good governance within the extractive sector.
We are hopeful that moving forward, we'll collaborate, a lot closer, work more directly with you, and be able to address that particular challenge to the extent that we can address it.
The report ongoing now will be published September 24 this year to bring our report 2022-2023 all together. And we are covering all the solid minerals, oil and gas, and we're also tracing all those agencies that receive money directly from Federation accounts are covered by us, NDDC, TED Fund, PDTF, and so on.
For NTA, the goal is one: ensuring the revenues from Nigeria's oil, gas and mining sectors are properly accounted for and used for the benefit of all Nigerians. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
The Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, has cut ministries, departments and agencies high in ease of doing business with an appeal for more work to be done for the nation's economy to thrive. This was other half of the year report on ease of doing business in Abuja. Benny Adams reports.
The Nigerian Content Development Board ranked first, followed by Standards Organization of Nigeria and the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Agency sits on the third spot with 74.8% score. Special Advisor to the President on Ease of Doing Business, Dr. Jumoke Oduole says the PEBEC Secretariat has tracked and ranked the implementation and compliance of MDAs using the Business Facilitation Act 2022. She says from January to June 2024, PEBEC ranked the 40 priority MDAs in compliance, provision of services in an efficient, timely and customer-friendly manner.
And the economy just has to export, has to produce and export. So the PEBEC's mandate is to make sure we're more productive as an economy, we're more competitive as an economy. And we do this by removing bureaucratic and legislative bottlenecks. We work essentially on soft infrastructure, and we work on what businesses have told us are their pain points.
Oduole noted that there has been significant improvement in the overall rankings compared to last year, 2023, with 60% of MDAs now scoring above average. She emphasized the need for MDAs to do more for economic growth.
So we want every agency to pay attention, to notice the red, and to notice that Nigerians are noticing the red, and to turn it around. Let's make it green.
PEBEC appeals to businesses to report challenges for proper responses on a 72-hour deadline using their online platforms. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
The Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Oil, Heineken Lokpobiri, has reiterated government's commitment to ensuring benefits of oil production extend to local communities. Lydia Sampson reports.
Reiterating that the success of the oil industry depends on the active participation of all stakeholders, Heineken Lokpobiri is most particular about the host communities, whose welfare, he says, is paramount. He added that the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is committed to addressing every necessary obstacle and concern to achieve the goal of increased crude oil production, as stipulated by the PIA.
Yes. And so I want to use this opportunity to solicit for your support, and by extension, solicit for the support of all traditional, in Promo Clan and indeed Bayelsa State, to work with us, so that we ramp up, production. That's the only way more money can come to the host comes, fund. Where the more oil that you produce within the domain, the more money you have in that cluster.
The minister reiterated this when he received a delegation from the Federated Communities of Ekeremo local government area in Bayelsa State, who paid them a courtesy call to express their displeasure over what they describe as perceived neglect by operators within their community. He commended them for their unwavering support and partnership with the federal government in safeguarding the nation's shared resources. He assured them that immediate steps will be taken in addressing all the issues they raised, including matters related to the host communities trust fund. Lokwebiri urged them to continue their steadfast support to the federal government in ramping up crude oil production. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
And still on oil and gas, the leadership of host communities in Nigeria producing oil and gas, HOSCOM, says the drastic measures taken by the federal government to end crude oil theft and bunkering in Niger Delta are yielding results under the leadership of President Tinubu. National President of the HOSCOM, Dr. Benjamin Tamara Nebi, who made the commendation at a press briefing in Abuja, identified the efforts also put in by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Oil, Henneken Lokpobiri, in achieving this feat, and condemned statements in some quarters against these efforts with aim of removing them from office.
There is improvement in the oil and gas sector. As he took over, just a year ago, community through the NUPRC, communities have received for about 100 billion naira for these 3%. We wish to state categorically that the incompetence and the figments of the imaginations of the sponsored individuals, considering the fact that Lokpobiri has helped to dose a lot of tension, including the issue of insecurity and community allegation. HOSCOM used this opportunity to pass vote of confidence. Godswill Akpabio, we extend same token to the Minister of State for Petroleum Oil. As host communities of Nigeria producing oil and gas, we shall remain firm and resolute in fighting to protect the interests of oil and gas-bearing communities in this our country.
The HOSCOM national president, however, notes that the organization will engage the National Assembly to review some sections of the Petroleum Industry Act 4 years after its enactment. And away from oil and gas, micro, small and medium-scale businesses in the textile industry, as well as information and communication technology, have received a boost with the inauguration of a world-class fashion and ICT hub in Benue State. The Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, as the flag of the facility, Makudi, encouraged the state government to expand its capacity to create more jobs and improve economies. Elias Itiev reports that the Vice President was represented by the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Senator Ibrahim Hadeja.
Earlier in January 2024, the Nigeria's Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, at the expanded National Micro, Small and Medium-Scale Enterprises Clinic in Makudi, promised the establishment of a world-class fashion hub in the state, and 7 months later, the Vice President has kept to his word with the flag-off of the dual purpose facility. Representative of the Vice President, Senator Ibrahim Hadeja, described the project as a landmark achievement and passion of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to create jobs, industrialize the economy, and support ease of doing business through access to financing and creating competitive markets.
Listening to His Excellency's speech and his request for monogram sewing machines, I would like to borrow a commitment from my principal, the Vice President, to say that we will deploy monogram machines to this facility.
Governor Hyacinth earlier, who appreciated the federal government in promoting creativity, innovation and skills development, said his administration remains resolute in attracting growth and development in all sectors of the economy.
We are not only expanding the labor market, but also supporting the skills required.
Minister of Industry and Investment, Dr. Doris Anite, and Doctor of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Usev, as well as the Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment in the state, Alumo Opin, urged residents of the state and even beyond to take advantage of the hub to improve their livelihoods. The Fashion and ICT Hub, which is described as the largest in Nigeria, boasts of over 200 pieces of fashion designing machinery, 100 ICT devices, and a 100 kVA generator to ensure 24-hour power supply. The Vice President also inaugurated the rehabilitated complex of the Benue Printing and Publishing Company with the state-of-the-art facilities under the Public public-private partnership. In Makudi, Elias, ETF, NTA News.
You're watching the network news on the NTA. More reports when we come back. Thanks for being there. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, has called for the enforcement of stiffer laws and punishment to perpetrators of sexual abuse and other forms of gender-based violence in the country. She made the call at the first Gender and Social Norm Summit 2024, organized by the United Nations Populations Fund, UNFPA, in collaboration with the Renewed Hope Initiative. State House correspondent Adeni Utah reports that the summit again puts the spotlight on the menace of gender-based violence.
Whereas recent statistics suggest improvement in female genital mutilation and few other issues that affect women and the girl child, still, gender-based violence is an abiding reality, challenging the ability of women to enjoy their womanhood and contribute to national development. Social and gender norms, both described as unwritten rules and expectations that define acceptable standard, group, or roles within the family, have been identified as underlying factors by experts who are gathered at this summit, organized in partnership with Renewed Hope Initiative to build needed solidarity against the menace. Leading the charge, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu says while state-specific action plans are developed and allocation of adequate resources are promoted in government budget to support gender equality initiatives, law enforcement must be prioritized to stem violence against women.
Even our babies are violated. Do we allow this trend to continue, or do we look the other way? That is why I'm calling on the law enforcement agencies, the Inspector General of Police, the Attorney General of the Federation, the Chairman of the National Assembly, to appropriate and enforce stiffer laws and punishments for perpetrators of rape, violence, and other forms of gender-based violence. No guilty party should be allowed to go free and start roaming the streets looking for the next victim.
The first point of call is, of course, to ensure that all our girls attend school.
We, the Ministry of Women Affairs, will move further to make sure there will be consequences if you commit such crime. We have our whistleblowers that will give us information in case they try it again.
The Federal Ministry of Youth Development has concluded plans to establish a new Department of Youth Wellbeing. This department will be dedicated to tackling issues such as gender-based violence, harmful social norms, and addressing and providing support for mental health to young people.
Getting the buy-in of the subnationals and traditional institutions is key.
We're working at the grassroots to support you in getting a.
And as a token of their commitment to carry the torch in their respective states, wives of state governors joined the First Lady to sign a compact agreement on the resolutions of the summit from the banquet hall of the presidential villa. Adeni Itaiwo, NTA News.
The outgoing Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Ahmed Rufai Abubakar, has handed over to the new Director General, Ambassador Mohammed Mohammed, at the headquarters of the agency in Abuja. The outgoing DG formally welcomed his successor and introduced him to the management team of the agency. He applauded the President for appointing his successor from the agency, which he said will aid smooth takeover. The former DG pledged to be accessible whenever his contributions may be needed.
I'm privileged today to welcome the incoming since Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Mohammed Mohammed, and to hand him the baton.
The new DG appreciated President Tinubu for considering him worthy for the appointment, while thanking his predecessor for his excellent reception. He also called for cooperation and support of the management staff for positive output. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security Abubakar Kyari sympathizes with thousands of farmers whose farms were destroyed by floods in the country. He He also sympathizes with farmers that lost their crops as a result of drought in the country. Abubakar Kyari said the development is worrisome and will have a negative impact on the social and economic well-being of the rural farmers, especially the small-scale farmers. He said the impact will be felt in anticipated harvest this year, hoping it will have minimal effect on the national food security. The minister says President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has encouraged the ministry to invest in technologies and practices that empower farmers to adapt to a changing climate and safeguard their livelihoods against unpredictable weather patterns. He notes that government will place more emphasis on the 2024-2025 dry season farming to cover losses recorded as a result of the flood. He affirms that his ministry and that of water resources and sanitation are collaborating towards improving areas under cultivating during dry season farming. The ongoing second phase of hydrocarbon pollution remediation project Hyper Cleanup in Ogale Eleme is to advance to the next stage. Chimdema Ndubisi reports.
Ogale Eleme is one of the oil-producing areas being cleaned up by Carbon Pollution Remediation Project, HyperRep, in a second phase aimed at restoring polluted farmlands and underground water. But progress of work stalled as the community raised a red flag over what it called anomalies in the remediation process. This prompted a meeting with the Minister of Environment and the traditional ruler, King Apollos Chu, alongside some of his chiefs, as well as representatives of the HyperRep team, where all the issues, including non-satisfactory remediation procedure, were tabled and resolved.
We have promised to remobilize back to that place to actually make to revisit the remediation and whatever what is supposed to do to see that the land we reinstate back to the owners of the land so that we can use our land back, we can go back to farm and farm that area. They were all agreed that we shall put them into a documentation by signing MOU on the things that are great, and then which they have accepted to sign the MOU. As I'm speaking to you, the MOU is almost ready for the community to sign.
So we didn't have access to the contaminated land. And so part of the resolution is that we'll be granted access so that we can clean up Ogoni and clean it sustainably. And those resolutions are being documented in black and white so that the community reps will sign and we will also sign. And the next thing is to implement all the resolutions. All parties are happy.
HyperRep is a community-centered project with a well-structured conflict prevention and resolution mechanisms for sustainable cleanup processes. In Abuja, Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
Instead of allowing knowledge acquired to be used in siphoning public funds that could serve the overall societal development needs, accountants in Nigeria should utilize their professional expertise to stem irregularities, embezzlement and block leakages in all spheres of public or private financial engagement. This was the crux of the message delivered by the Jigawa State Governor Umar Namadi to accountants at the opening of the fourth session of Mandatory Continuing Professional Development Program organized by the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria and held in Dutse, the Jigawa State capital. Muhammad Musa Askira reports that the theme of the fourth session is technology innovation in accounting and international control.
Declaring the session open, Governor Umar Namadi, represented by the Jigawa State Commissioner for Finance, Professor Hannatu Ahmad, said to support his crusade for accountability in governance, he recently established the Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission. The governor said the greatest task ahead of every public sector accountant to ensure accountability and responsiveness.
Public sector accountants should always be honest, should be accountable, and should also be transparent in their dealings.
In his address, the president of Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN, emphasized the need for cybersecurity in today's digital age, calling on the Nigerian public sector organizations and accountants to adapt to robust cybersecurity measures to safeguard financial data and prevent cyber threats.
Every year, go around all the zones and train them so that they can give good delivery to be able to give quality service to the public sector, the private sector, and wherever the accountant finds himself, so that we can fight money laundering, we can fight corruption. If the people are properly trained, they'll be able to resist influence from other quarters.
Papers were presented by academia titled The Impacts of Cloud Accounting System of Financial Reporting and also Cybersecurity and Data Protection in Accounting Best Practices. Goodwill messages were delivered by the Emir of Dutse Alhaji Hamim Nuhu Sunusi and heads of tertiary institutions in the state. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
65,000 entrepreneurs in Kebbi State have been empowered with 100,000 naira each to boost small and medium-scale businesses in the state. The Governor, Nasir Idris, launched the program, demonstrating the state government's commitment to supporting entrepreneurs and stimulating economic development. Correspondent Abdul Jalil Mohammed Bawa reports.
The Kebbi State COVID-19 Action Economic Stimulus Program, known as Kebbi Cares, is an initiative of Kebbi State Government to expand access to livelihood, food security services, and provide grants to poor and vulnerable households. Under the program, 65 billion naira has been earmarked to support 65,000 small and medium entrepreneurs with 100,000 each to expand their businesses with a view to boost the state economy and reduce poverty.
This kind of machine that we are using. So I will use this grant to buy a solar one so that I can be able to expand my business.
I'm very, very happy. Thank you so much for the
Governor Nasir Idris, while acknowledging President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's effort in poverty alleviation, says his administration will continue to support small and medium entrepreneurs for job creation and poverty reduction in the state.
Let me emphasize our commitment on ensuring transparency, accountability, efficiency in the implementation of all projects and programs aimed at uplifting the lives of our people.
During the launch, Governor Idris charged the beneficiaries to ensure that the funds are utilized for their intended purpose, urging them to make the most of the opportunity to grow their businesses. In Birnin Kebbi, Abdul Jalil Mohammed Bawa, NTA News.
The former House of Representatives member Lanre Laoshe has repaid the sum of 1,200 naira he received from the federal government as student loan between 1976 and 1979 with the sum of 3,189,217 naira. The Nigerian Education Loan Fund, now fund, in a statement says Laoshe, who was a former deputy whip, expressed appreciation for the financial support he received from the federal government through the defunct government students loan scheme during his educational pursuit. In a statement, Now Fund explains that to determine the current equivalent of the 1,200 naira loan, Laoshe obtained a table of average annual exchange rates from 1972 through 1985 from sources at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now Fund commends Laoshe and says the act serves as an inspiring example of the impact that government support can have on individuals. A time now to join Adeola in Lagos for more on the network news. Adeola. Lagos for more network.
The 81 Division of the Nigerian Army is re-strategizing and equipping officers with requisite skills to deal with emergency threats through the Inter-Brigade Combat Proficiency Competition 2024, which is designed to deepen resilience and team spirit among personnel. Joel Pokbola reports that 80 officers drawn from 4 formations under the 81 Division of the Army are participating in the competition at 243 Battalion Ibereko Barracks, Badagry, Lagos.
The task of protecting the territorial integrity of Nigeria, which is a core duty of the Nigerian Army, requires combat readiness and ability to cope with difficult terrains in the theater of operations. The participating formations are Nigerian Army 81 Division Garrison, 35 Artillery Brigade, 9 Brigade and 45 Engineering Brigade, comprising officers from second lieutenants to major rank. Nigerian Army 81 Division Training Officer, Brigadier General Oluwole, who represented the GOC, urged the participants to imbibe team spirit and put in their best to achieve the objective of the training, which is hinged on upscaling their skills and promoting synergy.
This training is actually what propels the troops, and whatever they do in peacetime would actually impact. We've categorized this particular cadre of officers to train together, and whenever they bond, and definitely the output will be replicated in the field.
The commanding officer 243 Battalion, who is hosting the training, says the training will prepare officers for higher responsibilities and challenges.
The participants are expected to compete in 4 events, namely map reading, weapon handling, obstacle crossing, and combat swimming. All the events to be competed for will take place within the 3 battalion area of responsibility, except for the weapon handling, which will take place at 81D Small Arms Range at Agility Owode.
As the officers engage in LD competition, the charge for them is not to lose sight of the overall objective of the Army, which is anchored on discipline. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
In its quest to reshape the transportation system, stimulate economic growth and enhance environmental sustainability, the federal government adopted the use of compressed natural gas, CNG. And to foster the growth of a CNG adoption program, efforts are ongoing to ensure installation of appropriate dispensing pumps. Diana Jale takes a look at how motorists in Lagos are adapting to the shift.
Travel from east to west, north and south. I've not seen CNG gas stations.
If you carry this thing come up for Lagos here, you drive your motor, enter another state. When the gas finish for there, to get another one, it will be a problem for you. You can be stranded for there.
Although some individuals have raised concerns.
Many thanks for being there. Sorry about a technical glitch from our Lagos Knowledge Center. But meanwhile, let's do some business with Benny Adams. Benny.
Thank you, Olajide, and welcome to business. Now, Nigeria's project managers are set to adopt technology and global best practice in ensuring project delivery. This is to ensure growth of industry, trade, and investment in the country.
Projects is not just about building houses. You have technology projects, you have you have process improvement projects, you have financial services projects. All of these projects can benefit from the use of technology.
Abandoned projects in Nigeria is something that we are looking critically at. It's a major concern for us. It's actually the bane of our development because projects that are not delivered has lost and cost Nigeria a lot.
Now, oil prices paused their recent advances receding in Asian trading on Tuesday after surging more than 7% in the previous 3 sessions on supply concerns prompted by fears of a wider Middle East conflict and the shutdown of Libyan oil fields. Brent crude futures fell 32 cents to $81.11 a barrel, while the U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 36 cents to $77.06 a barrel. Oil markets are retracing slightly after sharp gains in the previous 3 sessions, driven by expectations of U.S. interest rate cuts that could boost fuel demand. Military assaults between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon over the weekend threatened a wider Middle East conflict, potentially disrupting supply from the key producing region and Libyan closures. Now, a look at the markets. Investors gained 271.61 billion naira as the all-share index advanced by 0.49%. You might say that is marginal, but it closed at 96,510.13 basis points. A total of 443.1 million shares in 8,493 deals, corresponding to a market value of 5.635 billion naira were traded. Today's data shows 18% improvement in volume 45% improvement in turnover, but 8% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 55 billion naira. And on the aggregate, 120 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 49 gainers and 14 losers. Veritas Capital Assurance recorded the highest volume of 83.1 million traded shares, followed by Access Holdings with 56 million, and Universal Insurance Company with 29.1 million. That's it on business. Olajide, you can take it from here.
Many thanks, Benny. It's always a pleasure doing business with you. The Northeast Development Commission says its 10-year strategic plan of action for the rebuilding, rehabilitation and recovery of the region requires more utilization of demographic data and providing baseline that can be used in monitoring and evaluating the impact of the plan on the people. Managing Director and CEO of the Commission, Mohammed Al-Khali, said this when he received the Chairman, National Population Commission, Nasiru Isakwara, and his management team to his office. Ilyasu Yakubu reports.
It's a data collection. One can gather and measure information on variables of interest in an established, systematic fashion to provide answers to research questions, test hypotheses, and evaluate outcomes. And all the activities of the Northeast Development Commission requires effective utilization of data collection, which made this collaborative meeting timely and mutually beneficial to both parties.
Right away, for the Commission, we are designating our head of research and the Commission Secretary to meet with your team to quickly come out with the MOU on how we are going to collaborate.
The Chairman, National Population Commission, Nasiru Isakwara, who highlighted some of the areas of collaboration, which includes to conduct household survey and socio-economic assessment to gather data on living conditions, health, and education of the people.
Collection of data that will help the agencies, environment and climate change, so that we can really support them in doing their work better.
In Abuja, Ilyasu Yakubu, NTA News.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, decries the spate of security threats in Africa and its implications for the continent's development. The Foreign Affairs Minister was speaking at the ministerial meeting of the Tokyo International Conference on African Development CAD held in Tokyo, Japan. Yusuf Tuga notes that Africa's security and development landscape is increasingly witnessing complex threats such as the proliferation of small and light weapons, the presence of foreign mercenaries, impact of climate change, and the availability of safe havens, encouraging illicit financial flows as major concerns to the continent. The Foreign Affairs Minister also drew attention to the activities of cryptocurrency pirates undermining macroeconomic reforms on the continent, while stating that these could be the reason for the perceived decline in Japanese investment in Africa. But he encouraged Japan to work closely with African leaders and other African development partners to actualize the global desire for a developed Africa. The Foreign Affairs Minister reiterates Africa's commitment to leveraging the TICAD's multidimensional approach in addressing the root causes of insecurity hindering Africa's development, including the impact of climate change. Another break beckons. News continues in a moment. Glad to know you're still there now. Over to Ayo Deji, and I am not going to build my muscles either for tonight. Maybe that'll be for another day. The death has been announced of Emmanuel Osare Kurobaraye, the owner of Ohoho Street, Benin City. A statement by the family indicates that the body of the deceased will leave St. Philomena to his residence, number 16 Ohoho Street off Dawson Road, Benin City, tomorrow Wednesday, 28th. He will be buried on Saturday, 31st, after a funeral service at the military base Airport Road, Benin City. And up next is the weather forecast. All right, and that concludes network news for tonight. Many thanks for being a part of it. I am Olajide Bello.